Oh, here we go. We're live. All right, everybody. Happy Wednesday.
Hey.
Wine and Whatever Wednesday, the only day I know of the week anymore. Kristen, Papapietro Perry. I got Ben over here to the right. And in the middle is our special guest today, Steve Falk from the Press Democrat, from the North Coast Wine Challenger from all kinds of places. But hi, Steve. Welcome.
Hello, guys. How are you?
We're good. We're good. We got wine open. So we're always good. But we invited you on today because there's this amazing competition here in Northern California called the North Coast Wine Challenge. And it is, and Steve, you kind of started this, right? This is your theme.
Well, it's a long story, but the short version is we put together an investment group and we bought the Press Democrat in 2012 from the New York Times. And the first thing I said is, here we are in wine country. Why don't we have a wine competition?
I agree.
So that's the short version of a very long story. Everyone said I was nuts.
Well, I think I've known you a little bit. I kind of agree. Ben's known you longer. Ben, is he nuts?
No, well, he's very organized. You can tell.
Oh, you're very organized. All right, we'll give you that one. Well, what is the North Coast Wine Challenge?
Well, the reason why everyone said I was nuts, there are many, many wine competitions. I mean, dozens. And I had started the San Francisco Chronicle wine competition back in a long time, 20 years ago, exactly. This is the 20th anniversary of the Chronicle wine competition. But I say, here in wine country, we know we have the best of the best. We know we have the best wines.
True.
So let's do a competition and figure out who is the best of the best. And everyone said, Steve, no one's going to enter a competition. These high-end wines are never going to enter and take a chance on getting a silver medal. Ben doesn't want a silver. No one wants a bronze. I said, well, wait a minute, guys. Let's do just gold medals. Just gold. So if a high-end wine gets a bronze, no one will ever know it. So we only give gold medals. And guess what? This year we had almost 1,200 entries of the absolute best wines. And I get to go in the back room and I see all the entries. And I can tell you, these are the best of the best. So anyone can do a big wine competition. We're doing a high quality competition.
And how long has the North Coast Wine Competition been around?
Well, since we bought the Press Democrat, the first one was 2013. So this was our 8th anniversary.
7?
8.
8th?
This was our 8th year.
Okay.
And we're breaking all the records. And just based on the judges we attract, the judges all tell us it's their favorite wine competition because the wines are all so good.
Well, and I just want to show a quick little picture of, you do this in the warehouse. People send you their wines. I may start my own wine competition because look at that. Look at all those wines, even in that far, far back. This is absolutely incredible. Look at this. And this is over 2 days, correct?
This is over 2 days. And, with 1,200 entries and everyone sends 4 bottles, just in case one might be corked, that room had 5,000 bottles of wine. So that makes it my favorite day of the year in the newspaper business. And
oh my gosh, I only have 4 bottles in front of me.
We just have a good time. And I mean, the reason why I'm joining Ben is, Ben took away 4 gold medals, and including the best red, the best Pinot, and just the best in the red category out of 700 red wines entered. Number 1.
Correct.
Wow. It's all blind tasting, and just because Ben and I know each other.
I was going to get to that.
It was all blind tasting, and right at the end, I got to see the label, and I sent Ben a text. I said, you might want to watch
He did gave me the heads up.
You did, because this year, because of COVID, you announced the winners via Facebook Live.
Yeah, we
We
did.
have a little clip of, but so yeah, he kind of said, you guys want to watch, and I think there were all of us at the winery. We were kind of watched, including. I felt like we were at the Oscars without having to get dressed.
Like that.
But I was kind of sitting here waiting and kept kind of looking, and we took home 4 golds.
4 golds.
4 double goals.
4
double
double golds. My bad. I'm not a marketing, obviously.
Can you explain what a double gold is?
Oh, what is a double gold?
Well, double gold is anything, with 95 points or more. So, I mean, Ben's winning wine got 99 points. Unheard of, 99 points. And these are very particular judges. I mean, they don't give away 99 points any day of the week.
Yes, very famous people. Fred Dame and Chris Sawyer and just a good group of judges. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and our head judge, of course, is Darryl Groom, winemaker of the year in California, 10 or 12 years running. The most respected wine guy in the business. He's the head judge, and he rounds up the best judges. Heidi Barrett, the best of the best, and they love it.
Wine. That's kind of fun. So our 4 double golds. I want to get to what's in my glass really quick. Our 4 double golds. Oh, you have a visitor there, Steve. Our 4 double golds. We got the 17777. We have the 17 Laris Family Vineyards. 17 Nunez Vineyards, and then our 17 Sonoma Coast Vineyards. All 3 of us have all 4 of those wines. I chose to open the Sonoma Coast today, so that's what's disappearing from my glass. What did you guys open?
I have the Laris family opened, and it's just drinking great. This was 97 points.
Yeah, I didn't talk to Steve about this, but that's what I opened in my glass. So like mine,
You have this. You have the Laris as well.
I do.
Very nice. All righty, I like it. You guys thought it.
We did the 777 3 weeks in a row. I think I gave it a rest and try something different.
Oh, that's true. We do make 10 Pinots, You know what? I'm going to open the Laris because A, I can, and B, I don't like to not be included. So I'm going to open the Laris. Okay, so here's the fun piece. You guys knew each other before this, correct?
We did. Yeah.
You go back a little, and did it all start with that Shiner bottle of wine back in the late 80s?
Well, I was working at the paper. I started in 1965, so I'm going to be a little bit older than most, but I started working there in 1965, and over the years I was very active in the newspaper union, and in the 88 I was head of the Teamster union there, and Steve came.
Where is there?
The San Francisco Chronicle.
I'm just catching up, people. All right.
Yeah. Well, it was a San Francisco newspaper agency, the agent for the Chronicle and the Examiner. So 2 different editorials, but the business end was run by the agency. And so we met Steve when he came to work there, innovated not only the wine business, but having meetings with the workers. That was something new for us. And celebrating 20 years of service and 25 years of service, recognition for service was something that I think Steve had a big hand in. The newspaper for many years did these tests with these universities and found it was like they had low thoughts about their company they worked for, but then they had a better management team and things improved there remarkably. So I handed it to Steve.
Am I correct that Steve might have been your boss at one point?
Well, he was everybody's boss at work.
Well, that's you included.
Hey, if you know Ben Papapietro, you know no one was his boss.
That is actually a very good point, Steve.
He lives with his boss, but
oh my God, you do know Ben.
I do know Ben. So here I am. I show up. My first trip to San Francisco. I'm 33 years old. It's 1987. And someone says, you have to negotiate a contract with these Teamsters. And I'm thinking, oh my God, Teamsters. There were 975 of them. And Ben was the president of the union.
He was the leader.
And we were negotiating. I had never negotiated. I never told Ben this. I never negotiated a contract in my life. But Ben showed up that Christmas with a nice bottle of wine.
He was 33. How old was he?
And I didn't know what to say except thank you. And I went home and I opened this bottle of wine and I'm thinking, here's the president of the Teamsters. He can't be a bad guy. He's making some great wine. It didn't even have a label on it. And I called a friend of mine, which is now a good friend of yours, Ben, Bill Tabinski, who's probably watching us. And I said, you cannot believe the wine a Teamster is making. So, I mean, the rest is history. I never thought Ben would grow up to make a bottle of wine I can't afford to buy, but you know, that's the way life goes, you know.
So Ben, that wasn't a bribe though, right?
Well, I didn't say that.
Yeah. Oh, my bad. I didn't mean to say that.
No, it was interesting times at the newspaper. You know, we were operating under the failed Newspaper Act of 1965 and had a joint agreement with the newspapers. There was 4 or 5 newspapers in San Francisco, and I started delivering papers in 1957 with the call bulletin that became the News Call Bulletin, and they all merged together and became the Chronicle and the Examiner, and it was a wild ride working for the newspaper. I love the newspaper industry. I mean, every day was something new and exciting at the paper, much like it is during harvest here and making.
I know you watch movies a lot too. Did you guys remain? So you guys became friends working in the newspaper, or you kind of worked and then?
Let me take another sip of wine.
You might not ever describe that relationship as friends, but
he's putting a dirty spin on the word Teamsters.
Yeah, I mean,
it's very respectful of the team that the paper had brought in. I mean, there was some problems that for a while we had a guy that didn't like unions. But
I mean, let's just say both sides had people at the extremes, and somehow Ben and I ended up right in the middle, and we had to keep the extremes on management and the extremes on the union side at bay and do what was best for employees and the company. And I mean, we had to go through a 10-day strike to make a point that, you know, it's not the way to settle things.
I love how PC you're being. I can tell when you're talking slow.
Yeah. You know, but at the end of the day, it all worked out, and here we are living in.
All you need is
well, newspapers are surviving it. You know, there was a time when somebody told me we're not going to give you 1 red cent, and you know, things aren't that good at the paper. We didn't believe them.
Hey, Carlos Chavez said, Steve, well said. So good job.
You know, now Ben, I'm sure most people know you were making wine in your garage in San Francisco, and
yes,
and you know, schlepping grapes back and forth and wine barrels and whatever else you have to do to make wine in your garage. But
so Steve, is Ben a better winemaker or negotiator?
A better winemaker or negotiator? Well, we both lived to see this day. I'd like to think I was a tougher negotiator, but then, you know, Ben's going to say the same thing. So then we're going to have to arm wrestle.
Yeah, we're not going to negotiate that.
We negotiate this though, that it's one of we don't usually enter any of the wine competitions. And so Steve had a little phone call discussion with me and asked me to participate. And I trusted Steve's ability. I had known, because we did pretty well in the Chronicle when we actually first entered our wines. I think I did win a double gold at the Chronicle one year. So I trusted Steve's knowledge of what he was going to do, and he pulled it off. And I think it's a really great competition, and we're pleased and proud to be part of it. We don't always win. We got some great scores. The Nunes last year got 97 points, and you know that I'm thrilled whether you win or whatever to have those kind of scores from the kind of judges we have. It's fantastic for us, you know.
It's also interesting, Steve. You were saying the North Coast Wine Challenge covers 4 main counties, right? Sonoma, Napa, Lake, and Mendocino. And so when you're getting your judges in too, they're really, my assumption is they're really dialing it down into those appellations and finding the best of those appellations, right? Instead of world or whatnot, because then there's so many different nuances. And you said there are, 2,000 entries?
1,200 entries this year,
Okay.
which if you think about a competition that covers just 4 counties, that's a
lot.
That's a
It's just
big number of entries.
It's one of the main growing regions, though. The four areas are probably combined to be, 60 or 70% of the United States production, similar to that.
And the other thing that's very unique about our competition is the makeup of the judging panels. And this was Daryl Groom's idea. We have panels of 3, and every panel has 1 winemaker, 1 buyer, and 1 sommelier or wine writer. So you always have a winemaker's perspective, you have a wine expert's perspective, and you have a wine buyer's perspective. Because in our opinion, it's not just it's just not about the specifics and the chemistry of what's in the glass. It's, can you sell it? Will people buy it? Is it marketable? So, I mean, we're here to give consumers, an idea of what these judges think are the best of the best, but also wines that are, number 1, available, and number 2, are marketable.
Well, and also a realistic spin on it, because that's a great balance, because all winemakers could be a good old boy network where you have your house palette or whatnot. Wine buyers tend to look at different. I was a distributor before this. They look at different things. That's fascinating to me. I think that's a great balance, a great mix of palates and mentalities and reasons they're going to pick certain wines.
And the judges love it, because the conversations that go on at the judging table, it's not just about the palate, it's about the total wine experience.
Yes.
Is it available? Is it, and it just makes for a great discussion.
Well, anybody who's been tuning in knows that Dan from the back office sits on the other side of my computer writing me notes. I have received 6 notes so far that say, "How's that Laris?" I just opened the Laris. I'm being told I need to discuss the wine, not just drink it. What do you guys think of this 2017 Laris?
I think it's drinking great.
I'm almost out again.
It's great
I don't pour
fruit
a
on
lot.
the palate right up front. I mean, Ben, you can describe it. You made it. It's
Well, again, anytime I put my nose in there, I get the very seductive smells there. It draws me back in this special glass. It really just focuses that for me right away. Yeah, cheers to that guy.
Spice. I love the little spice on the Laris too.
Yeah, that earthiness and to me, the Laris has always been the wine that best for my whole lineup reflects the Russian River style Pinot Noir. It's got plenty of fruit forward. It's got earthy mineraliness to it. It just, to me, it really says Russian River. And I work with a lot of vineyards in the Russian River, and they all have their really interesting aspects. But if I were to say of all my lineup, which one best is the best example of what you would expect in Russian River Valley. I would say my Laris really hits that note. And we've been working with Nick. I knew Nick when he was 58 years old. And celebrate his age.
You've known Nick a long time.
Yeah, I've known Nick a long time. I've worked with both Randy and Nick, Randy Peters and Nick, for the whole time I've been in a commercial winemaker. I started making wine in 1980, so I've been fooling around. What another employee of the newspaper industry, Bert Williams, one of the premier first guys ever in our area.
Did he own a winery? Did he own a winery?
William Selliam?
William
I
Selliam.
just wanted you to throw the name out there.
I used to sign his paycheck too.
I do.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, another wine I can't afford.
Did he give you any wine?
No, he did not.
That's why you're here today. That's right.
Exactly.
Bert wasn't negotiating contracts, was he?
No.
No. Thank you, Ben, for answering my earlier question.
So there's also a couple other guys. I mean, Davis Bynum was the guy that wrote what was it? A column to find the Emperor Norton's treasure. He did that. And we had.
What is it about the newspaper? Oh, sorry. What is it about the newspaper business that makes you guys want to make wine?
Everybody drinks a lot.
Is that what it is?
Everyone drinks a lot.
I'm finding a correlation here.
Most of the labor negotiations, as a matter of fact, now that we don't have to answer to anyone, took place at a bar across the alley in the back of the newspaper by the name of Minna's. Right?
Well, in the alley was Hanno's. Hanno's in the alley.
Hanno's. That's right.
So, Steve, are you one of the fathers of Sonoma County Pinot, Sonoma County wine?
Who?
Moi?
Well, I'm just Ben's not happy with that question. That was Dean's question, by the way, just to clarify when it comes time to write my paycheck. He is saying, due to the fact that there are so many wineries created in this newspaper business, because you're all okay. We're going to give you some kudos.
Okay, yeah.
And by the way, we're entering next year's North Coast Wine Challenge too.
Yeah, let the record show I gave birth to these fine Pinots here in Sonoma County.
Thank you, Ben, for being a surrogate. But Steve did all the work.
Fatherhood isn't easy, but I'm glad to do it.
So there's a couple of other guys too, photographers. Eric Ross, Eric Luce, who was a photographer at the paper. He makes a little bit of Laris. He's another guy that we keep in contact with. There's quite a few people in the industry that I don't know why, but I don't think that many a lot of people with a lot of money in the tech business get into the wine, but they're on the other side of the mountain.
Yeah, they don't count. They're not.
Yeah, Ben and I always said we should do a short story or an article about all of the newspaper folks that ended up hitting grand slams in the wine business.
I think that's fascinating. I learn something every Wednesday, even though I'm part of it. But that's fascinating because I don't think I realized there were that many wineries, I guess, that came out of the newspaper business. And I don't think it is the fact that we're in this region. That's it, because every state makes wine. So,
well, it helps to be in 75 miles from the Russian River. If you're living in the city, it makes it a great spot. As kids, I grew up in San Francisco. I was born and raised there. So as kids, we would drive up to the river, and as you were going out to Bodega or out to Jenner, you'd go by Corbell. I think that was one of the first guys. They were out there forever. As kids, we on one side of that on the way to the ocean was where they filmed that program Combat. That was done right there at Oddfellows, and then just across the street was the one of the first sparkling wine houses, Corbell.
Hey, Steve, someone just stole your wine.
I noticed that.
We totally saw them. I think I could identify him if you show me some posters.
I'm gonna switch to the 777
You have
close.
to because your lyric is
We
gone.
opened all 4 of them, so
Well, hey, you might as well. You're not driving.
This is 99 points. I opened this just over the weekend, and it was great. I'm sure it's.
The 777's still. You opened this bottle over the weekend.
No. This is my second bottle in as many days.
I love
This newspaper publishing is a tough business.
So is this wine business. Let me tell you. But I don't have to sit there and read the newspaper every day. I can sit there and drink wine every day. Ben, I like what you said, but I will tell you, I live in wine country. I don't want to make wine. I just want to drink it. So kudos for wanting to make wine and the wine is delicious.
well, because I was raising 2 children, and my when I was single, I had a lot of disposable income. But once I got married and had kids, that disposable income got disposed of. So I couldn't figure out how I was going to keep. I didn't figure out how I was going to keep up with my wine drinking, so I had to end up making it. So
And I have 2 kids. I don't know how I'm going to keep up, so I had to get a job at a wine.
wow.
Sorry, I didn't work for the newspaper.
Ben, is this the highest score 777 has received? 99 points?
I believe so. Yeah, that's the highest score we've received. 97 for the Pomard, I think, on the American Fine Wine competition. I won best red wine in that competition. Also, last year the 16 Pomard won best of show. So I'm very happy on both coasts and in really good competitions, especially my hometown competition I'm most proud of because it's my hometown. But both those competitions, East Coast, West Coast, to have won the top red wine has been just an amazing, for us, an amazing recognition of what we do. And I have a great team. My team has been with me for almost 18 years. The 2 guys in my cellar, David Lowe and Tyson Freeman, and then Lucindo, my cellar guy, is just the best. So we keep hitting home runs. I'm happy.
Let me ask you a question. I've always, we didn't talk about this, but what does 99 points on the 777 clones do for the sales of this wine?
We are almost sold out.
You're almost sold out.
She'll tell you that. Yeah.
We are almost sold out. And so obviously great points help. I will agree. To be honest, I could be a little jaded sometime on points because I describe competitions as movie critics. If I like the movie critic and I like the palette of people judging, then I give more stock, right? Because if I don't like scary movies, then somebody who loves scary movies aren't gonna give me good reviews. I love the fact that you have a wine buyer, wine drinker, winemaker judging you because you've just enveloped different aspects of why you buy wine. So your scores, I think, to me, rate higher than some others that maybe I don't have a similar palate to. You get good scores, and I think because we've been with the North Coast Wine Challenge for so long too, and it's really consistent with scores. Yeah, amazing. 777, we are almost, that'll be the first 17 that we are sold out of.
Wow.
So one of the things with the scores of such a really great score in such a terrible time frame.
It is.
Under circumstances. So other years when everybody's up and running and coming up and visiting and all that would be like fantastic. So the good part of that is to win that award. The bad part is it happens to be in a year where we're all in quarantine and nobody's coming to visit. But
you know what? They trust the score and they trust your winemaking, Ben, and so they're purchasing it. And I was chatting with Randall today, one of our great wine club members, and he said, I have been drinking more than ever. His display that he used to have is almost gone. And I think people are drinking more than ever. I think people are drinking better wines now. They are treating themselves. They are taking care of themselves. They're breaking out their good stemware. They're breaking out their good bottles on Tuesday, Wednesday nights. It's awesome. What are we waiting for otherwise? And I think the good score just kind of cements their decision to purchase a little more of the bottle. Yeah, Ron's saying he got a case of the Pomard and the 777 a while ago. Yeah, Ron. We will run out of the 17,777.
And Kristen, do you know why we do this?
Why do you do it? I don't.
Well, now listen carefully.
I am. I can't wait.
Because we're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time.
Oh, you did say that earlier, and I am actually going to steal that from you because I do. I agree.
Well, that's Steve's, and you know what ours is.
I don't know, Ben. I know, but does Steve or everybody else? What's yours, Ben?
You'll want to swallow.
Wine is so good, you want to swallow. And Steve, didn't you say earlier your mom taught you not to spit?
Well, that's why I cannot be a judge. My mother in Pennsylvania always said it's not polite to spit, so I never spit. I drink, so I can't judge. But
my favorite thing is in the tasting room when people are, they're having their little sip and they're going to dump it because they're being responsible drinkers and they do this.
That's right.
And they finish it instead. And I think that's a really good sign of a great wine. Well, you guys are awesome. I love listening to your guys' banter. You guys have been friends for quite some time.
It's been a long time.
Acquaintances for a long time.
Okay, how long have you been? Are you now friends?
Friends.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Well, I am going to wrap it up. We're at our 30 minutes. You guys are amazing for coming on and joining us.
What? We didn't even get started. What?
I know.
Okay.
Okay. Fine.
I mean,
Tell
I've
me
got
one
3
story
more.
about it.
I've got 3 more stories, but I guess I'll have to wait.
I'll go with one good story from each of you. Steve, I've heard Ben talk about you. They're all great stories.
No, it's been a great run, and it's great to see, two careers come together, sort of at the apex, and we enjoy the same things. We live in the perfect spot, fires and floods and power outages notwithstanding.
Well, even though I knew Steve from the paper, I didn't really realize until I met him at a Napa wine auction one year at Nicholas.
Right.
Yeah. And then I knew we had a kindred spirit there somehow.
You guys didn't connect on wine in the newspaper days?
Not really. No, that was all business in those days, except for the bottle, I guess.
Yeah. We didn't talk about wine much, but we met at Farniente Gil Nichols' place.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you think about the situation with the newspapers at that time, having seen really good years of newspapers, and then at the end of near the end of 1999, the papers were really having a hard time, and that was traumatic for everybody that worked in the papers. It was, and changing, and I kind of guessed that I had to move on because I had enough time there. But I'd love the newspaper industry, and I think anybody that works in the newspaper industry loves it for the excitement and all that it entails.
Well, Ben, as it turns out, and this will just be her parting comment, as it turns out, you ended up in the best place to make world-class Pinots, and the Press Democrat is one of the best read newspapers in California. We reach 7 out of 10 adults in this market. So you ended up in a great spot. I ended up in a great spot. And what can we say?
It must be because we deserve to be that way. It must be because we deserve it, I guess.
You deserve it that way. Cheers, guys. You guys are amazing.
That's the ultimate negotiation success.
I'm just going to hang on both of your coattails. All I'm going to say. Well, anyway, next week, Renee Perry's going to join us, the other half of Papapietro Perry. We're going to talk about how wine tasting in this whole world is different.
Well, just mentioned that Perry also, my partner Bruce Perry, Bruce and I both worked at the paper. He was there even long. He started before I did, but I finished after he did. So he had a good 30 years there. So, both of us came out of the paper industry. Yeah.
No, you're right. Good. All right. Well, kudos, everybody. Let's see. We got Renee. We got Vola Chocolate. We got Riedel Seminar next week. Last one. Steve, you went to our last one. Those are amazing. Hence, Virginia's great. Oh, Jeff Davis from the Wine Road's coming on.
Jeff. I look forward to having a conversation with Jeff also.
Yeah, you're going to have a conversation with Jeff. And I do want to give a shout out to Ron. Ron from New Jersey is in D.C. today watching us. So thank you, Ron. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, everybody joining in. You guys are amazing. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Drink wine, read newspapers, and
The paper when you're drinking a glass of wine.
do both. And you do 2 hands.